Hi everyone. So before we officially go into the main sharing session, we just go through the whole agenda for this whole entire session today. So just to show you what to expect in this whole entire session. Um, yeah. So here are the agenda. So I'm just gonna go through again and re-informing everybody about the guidelines for this entire session. And then I'll go on forward with the introduction where you can find out more about Ace EdVenture Studio and also Erica. And then the main sharing session is where you can actually learn in depth and in detail of Erica's entrepreneurship journey. And then we'll move on to the Q&A session where we'll be answering your pre-submitted question and any question you might have throughout the whole entire session. And also then we'll move on to the last bit, which is the closing, where we'll be announcing our next Tauke Talk session and also giving you a small teaser on our upcoming flagship program that's happening this year. Okay, so before we move on, I'll just go through the guidelines. So a kind reminder that please make sure you turn off your camera and also volume at all times. And then to make sure as well that you also, if you have any question throughout the whole entire session, please leave it down below in the chat box. Our team will be looking at it and also compiling all the questions that you might have, and we'll put it during the Q&A section. And lastly, please do use respectful language when you are communicating in the chat box. So hi everyone, my name is Cindy and I'll be your host today. Welcome to Tauke Talks, a series of sharing session where we invite small but mighty business to come and share about their entrepreneurship journey and also how the motivation behind why they started their business. So this sharing session is actually brought to you by RYSE, a Malaysian research and social outreach project that actually empowers you through entrepreneurship, and RYSE is supported by Citi Foundation. We here at RYSE believe that entrepreneurship is not only for the big, more established company, but also for small and mighty business such as Ace EdVenture Studios. So we aim to actually showcase via Tauke Talks all these small stories and all these small businesses that actually striving and actually still persevering in their journey of entrepreneurship. So I'm happy to welcome our guest today, Erica from Ace EdVenture Studio. Hi, Erica.
Hello, hi Cindy.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
No, we're
It's
honored
really
to
fun.
have you here today. Yeah.
Hello.
So, now we can actually give this whole section to Erica to help have her share a little bit about her business, Ace EdVenture Studio. So, Erica, go ahead.
Okay, thanks Cindy. So Ace EdVenture Studio is for us at Ace EdVenture Studio, we were once students too, and we loved studying so much that we absolutely did not want to go to school. So meaning that basically this started because we wanted to ease that struggle of studying. I kind of believe that how to say, like, you don't need to struggle when you study. Yeah, so we come up with products and services that bring the fun into learning. And I guess our tagline is why study for an exam when you can play for one. So our first product was actually a very first chemistry adventure game where if you play it, you will learn chemistry. And then now we're venturing into Particle Planet, which is our comic, which volume 0, which is our pilot volume. Funny story, we put it up on Amazon. It became the bestseller in the UK and the US. So on Amazon in categories like fantasy and action and adventure, and of course study aids. So we were really surprised by that because this is something that we released for free to help you learn about the periodic table elements without having to memorize all the facts, but you go through a father and son adventure in the wild, like Crocodile Hunter. Like, crikey, mate, I see like cryo over there. So cryo is nitrogen. So essentially that's what we try to do with education. We try to make learning an adventure for all of you. And we teach you how to hack your studying so you spend very little time hitting the textbooks and more time playing, having fun, or doing whatever you love. Yep.
Nice. All right, guys, that's a little bit about Ace EdVenture Studio. If you want to find out more about what kind of products or service that they offer that can actually help people around you that you know that are struggling in science or maths, for in that case, then you can always find out more via their Facebook or their Instagram. And if you have TikTok, go ahead and check out their TikTok as well. So if you are interested, please do check out their handles. And if you miss out the handles during the slides, you can always go to our social media and actually find the handles via their poster that we posted. Great. So I guess we can move on to the main sharing session. So now I will just ask you some question, Erica, regarding your entrepreneurship journey.
Sure.
Can you share a bit about what inspired you to start your own business? Like maybe a bit about your background. How did you stumble upon starting your own business?
Sure. Let's see. I've actually been helping my mom in her English classes since I was 9. So I was one of those kids where I was helping my family out with the family business. So she started English classes, which aimed to teach English in a really fun way. And then it grew so much that there was like demand for us to apply that fun way of learning to like other subjects. So then we actually we actually started eventually started a school, but we started with math and science camps, and then bootstrapped our way to actually opening up like schools. And then Ace EdVenture Studio is something that we started so that we could actually reach more kids, because we're hampered, or basically people can't come over to our school from other parts of the world when they hear about what we do. So we get inquiries from like America and stuff like that, and they're like, where can we get your brand of education? And unfortunately, they can't come all the way here. So Ace EdVenture Studio was actually a way of us to reach more kids. Yeah, but partially why I wanted to be an entrepreneur was also because I knew that, knowing my temperament, if you know me in school, the kids thought I was like this super obedient, like, goody goody two shoes kind of girl. It's just I didn't see the point in getting into pointless trouble with the teachers. It's a waste of time, right? So I know I'll make a good employee, but I don't think I'll be happy doing it. You might be asked to do things that maybe you can't sleep at night. So I didn't want to be in a life like that. And the other thing also is I was reading Kim Kiyosaki, who's Robert Kiyosaki's wife. She wrote this book called Rich Woman, and she said like, like for women, you should have your own way of making income, because a lot of women who get into trouble, right? Because they when the husbands, like, they're reliant so much on the husbands that when a divorce happens or like the husband cheats on them, then suddenly they're left in the lurch with 2 kids and they don't know how to earn money anymore because they were so reliant on the guy. So she said, like, for women, you must have your own source of income. And she said this. She said, you want to be with a guy not because you need to be with him, but because you choose to be with him. Yeah. So me being a very hopeless romantic, I started my own business. So I could choose to be with a guy instead of be with
that was your breaking point. That quote.
Yeah, it was so profound, right? I was just like, oh yeah, actually, it's more worth it to be, because you want to be and you choose to be, not because like I have to be, I also have to be, need to be, miserable also must be with. I'm just like, no, cannot. Yes. Yeah, so that's pretty much what led up to it, but essentially, like, I hated school, as you know, hated studying. So when there was a chance to do something right by students, I jumped on it. Yeah, so I've been teaching in the schools that we set up for like the past 11 years. So now I'm taking everything that we know from our schools and putting it into like these comics and products to make like learning and studying more of an adventure rather than like a chore or a task that you have to do. Yeah. Yeah.
So did you choose to, like, is your background in business, or did you study something else to establish a business, or you just went straight ahead and just go and like, I'm gonna start this business with no background, but I'm gonna try?
That's a really good question. We have a certain irreverence, like we completely, I think earlier on when we were talking, Cindy, right, you talked about how your parents don't trust the Malaysian education system and stuff like that. My parents were the same. So that's why my mom started her own thing as well, because she wanted us to, and I went through the English classes as well, because she wanted us to have the skills to be able to like present, and she was a college lecturer, and she didn't understand why after 17 years, you study English for 17 years, English is still no good. For a lot of kids, that they can't even handle college and university work, nor do they have the skills that are demanded of you in college, where you have to present, you have to analyze, you have to think. None of these things are taught in the regular schools. So so I could study whatever I want. I actually went to do performing arts because I wanted to be a writer. But I ended up in a performing arts course because that was kind of all they had here, and they happened to have a writing course, but they axed it in my second year. So I ended up doing everything else, like acting, directing, filming, and stuff like that. So I was pretty free to learn whatever I wanted to. But on the side, we were lucky enough to, like, when I was 15 years old. That was when my mom read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and he happened to come to Malaysia, so we got to meet him and his wife. During the course. So it was a very small group because at that time it was the idea of like owning your own business and all that, and doing business so that you can be financially free was kind of starting to catch. You could see his books in MPH and stuff like that. Then after that we went to find other mentors, who do business. So because we know that in the colleges and the universities, you're being taught by people who are employees, unfortunately, unless you're lucky enough not to have those. Because I know Asia School of Business, I think, is kind of different because I worked with someone from there before. But like in most cases, these people don't own their own businesses, and teachers are on the other end of the wealth spectrum compared to like entrepreneurs and business owners. They're on completely opposite ends. So you'll be learning about business theoretically. So for us, we found mentors who actually ran their own businesses and did their own thing, so that and learn from them. So that was very, very helpful. So every year without fail, there'll be like 2 or 3 business trainings we'll go for. Property, learning how to invest in property, invest in stocks, how to run business at a level, speaking courses and all that, how to close from stage. So there are all these resources out there. So like keep an eye and ear open for them. Yeah, especially in this day and age now, people are really so willing to share what they do with you. Yeah. So that's how it went down.
You mentioned that you started this business based on the need that you see based on what your mom was doing for so many years. Because this is a business that I rarely hear about personally, that I've never seen a business that actually make fun or learning very fun. So can you tell us a little bit about what were the challenges you first faced when you first started your business, and how did you actually choose to or how do you figure out how to solve those problems?
That's a good question indeed. I think for us, because we wanted to do something, I think I remember it was in SPM, and I had a bunch of friends as well, and we were so disenchanted by how we were learning in school, and that's why when my mom said, "Hey, why don't we turn this into a school?" We're like, "Okay." So we started from there, and I think there is a gift in not knowing what you're up for. Because if we knew how challenging it was going to be, I think we probably wouldn't have done it. So even doing like the game, I think it was an incredibly steep learning curve, honestly, to run studio, because we're just teachers, but we had a mission that we wanted to make sure that every child that comes out of the education system was prepared for the world. So a lot of our students, they don't realize it when they're in the system, because then everyone is learning the same thing. But when they come out, then they see what we've done for them, in terms of the skills and the knowledge that we've equipped them with, mostly skills. So for us, the most important thing was the skills. So I guess we honestly didn't know what we were doing, but I think what guided us was that we knew that we wanted to impact education on like a global level. And so we started to build towards that. So every time something came up, then and we knew that, okay, this is very possible, this is where we'd like to go, so we ventured into that. So studio was one of those. The studio is actually one of those things. We don't know anything about making games. Don't get me wrong. All we know is that we knew that it was a great medium to make learning fun, because studying is an active thing. It's active. Like to study effectively, you need to move. And unfortunately, school kind of puts you in that chair, that table, right? And then the real battle is trying not to fall asleep.
Because, right? No one else.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you feel like the cartoons where you want to put the toothpicks in your eyes, right? Just
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
your
yeah.
eyes up. Yeah. So, so yeah, it was more, yeah. So yeah, I think having that purpose really drove us. And like when we encountered challenges, yes, guys, I will tell you this: being an entrepreneur and being on this journey, there will be times I think you have to accept the fact that it is uncertain. Okay, but to get to uncertainty, to get to certainty, you do have to take action. Yeah, and there's no such thing as you can't get certainty without clarity, but you can't get clarity without first taking some action. So like one thing you encounter a lot of, people be like, how you think you're going to make money? You think you can survive? Like, is this project going to be successful? You get a lot of people like asking you those questions. They want that certainty. And so because you've never done it before, there is none. But the very least you can do, the fortunate thing is that if you're in like food F&B or whatever, success leaves clues. So if you learn from people who have done it before, you can take that wisdom and start applying it in your context. So I won't say that everything you've learned will be like, wow, right for you. You have to use your own discernment and kind of filter what actually works for you, what doesn't, because that was something I kind of struggled with a little bit. That's something I had to learn running the studio, because I never imagined that I would take over this project. Actually, in my head, I was going to be teaching in the school for like a long, long time, and then I suddenly had to stop teaching because things happened with the studio, and then I took over, and this is so outside my comfort zone. Yeah, very, very much outside my comfort zone. So when people tell me like, oh, Erica, you should do this, or Erica, you should do that. And I think for me, it was more like, it came to a point where I was just like, wait a minute, like, why am I listening to them? Because that's what they would do, right? So I had to start listening to what I would do, what made sense, and playing to my strengths, because there were things that were being suggested to me that really was not to our strength. So we never budged on it, because like, I mean, like, I don't even know how to do that. And it's not even, in my flow of like what I can do well, what I can do well. So because there are a number of things being an entrepreneur that you will face, that you realize like, oh shoots, I'm not great at this, right? And so what we learn is that you find teammates who are better than you, and don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. So for me, it's like I was trying to be those people who were better than me in those areas, instead of finding like people to work with who were already good at it and they love it. The most important thing is that they love it. Because I like doing other things that other people might not. So this is the thing. So you have to love, I think, what you do as well. I love teaching. I love making kids smile. I love seeing them smile. I love the fact that in my second year of us opening the school and I was teaching, the kids we told them, hey guys, we're going to like take a day earlier off, for our holidays, right? And the instant reaction was like, no, why? Yeah, like why? And we have kids arguing with their parents because the parents want to take them for holiday during the school term, and they don't want to go. So the parents will call us up and go like, my child doesn't want to go. I've got no one to look after them at home if we go for this holiday. So they'll be fighting. So I'm just like, okay. Yeah. So that makes our day, because I had the exact opposite experience. Yeah. I don't know if you're a good girl, Cindy, but like for me, I would I would skip school. I have to admit, I would skip school, especially
I would want
later
to
on.
say I relate, but I don't really relate. Yeah. It's so interesting to see that kids actually don't want to go on holiday and they prefer to study. That's very weird.
Yes. Yes, it was shocking. We were like, oh my God, we did something right. Yeah.
Were there like any issues in terms of like trying to get people to trust your brand, trying to get people to trust that your lessons, let's say, or your board game actually was educational? Did you ever face that kind of problem when you first started?
Yes. Actually, Camp Caper in itself was a huge lesson for us, because I think one of the things that when you do something very cutting edge, you actually, we ended up building a product that I feel no one really understood. And because I didn't like doing sales and marketing, so we kind of left it to other people, but we didn't realize who we hired for sales and marketing did not kind of match. Yeah, because one of the things I learned recently about sale, especially marketing, the landscape has changed. Last time you can throw a lot of money, at a product and it will somehow make money back, and then the other thing is also that you need to be able to grow a brand from scratch, because we are now in the day and age where like you have tons of entrepreneurs doing their own business, right? So the skill of marketing has then become growing your brand from scratch. You see, instead of like, because Levi's, everyone knows Levi's, T Life, okay, everyone knows T Life, it's a household name. So those brands, like you can, if you have the right campaign and all that, you put in money. I'm talking very loosely generally here. All right, it's not all like that, but most of the time, you can sort of get away with it. So we hired people who were very used to big budgets for marketing. Yeah. So and to market it that way, the conversion, and then also with a product that I think, because we disguise the learning so much that till today I do get comments like, where's the written text? Like, how come there's no write-up about the characters? But who we designed it for, we knew they wouldn't read. Yeah, so we had to kind of design it that way. But there are people who think that an educational product should be a lot of text, but our students don't like reading. So so there's that kind of like there's a gap in terms of like what the market knows and what we think they should know as well. So as a product, it did well in terms of like putting our school on the international stage. But as a product, it did okay. Yeah, in terms of like sales and all that, because like back then when we launched it 6 years ago, now it's about 7 years ago. Yeah, I think like especially like parents, they're like, this one can work, can have fun. So when they hear it's a computer game, they're not as excited, and we didn't know how to convert that. Yeah. So these were kind of the struggles. It was the same thing when we first started our school. Like I remember reading in one of the community forums, they were like, oh, what is this school all about? And someone actually wrote there, don't know, must be some Bomo school.
Oh no.
because to have fun and learning was was such an alien idea for people, right? Yeah, super alien. So but we were lucky because the kids were so happy, and so we grew from word of mouth. So now our next foray is to our next like adventure, I would say, is how do you then market in another way? Because word of mouth marketing is very powerful, but it gets you so far. Right? Then you need other channels and other forms as well for people to be familiar with you. So this has been our journey, on how to, and people have very fixed ideas about what education needs to be. And for us, we've done it for so many years that we feel very strongly that we've done it for so many years that if you came into our class, you wouldn't recognize that it's a classroom. On many levels, because of what we make the kids do. So because we believe learning is active, and when you come to school, you're getting skills, not just knowledge. You have to get skills. So we're learning how to bridge that gap.
Nice. All right. I think you also talk about your school and how a lot of kids come and actually enjoy. I mean, I think a lot of businesses face this, and I think also Ace EdVenture kind of got hit by the pandemic as well, as with everybody else. Can you talk a bit about how the business actually adapted, especially your physical business, how it adapted during the pandemic?
Yes. Yes, that is always the burning question, right? So for us, I think what stalled for us was basically we started venturing into board games, because I realized that board games are actually a more wholesome product in people's eyes. Compared to like a computer game. So, and people are willing to pay more for a card game that probably teaches only like one topic versus like a computer game that's cheaper but teaches about half the textbook. So that's the perception of these things. And it didn't help also that WHO kind of said that video game addiction is a health issue, so that became like a thing with people. So But during the pandemic, I think the good thing for our business is that people started, like we had an email from America, a school district with like 100 over schools asking for license to our game, because then I think teachers started to realize that, oh, I need to start like making sure that my kids, still learn somehow at home. So then they started, there are certain people who started looking for games. So then we kind of rode on that, and we started emailing schools in like New Zealand when they had their lockdown, and then also in the US and when they had the lockdown, to just let them know that, hey guys, we have this product, we use it with our own students, and we're just here to help you. For this whole period, it's free. So feel free to get your license. So that's kind of what we did, and we also tried to make sure we were extremely visible, even if like sales were not coming in. And we had to stall on the board game side. So yeah, we tried to make sure that we were super visible in the sense that we started creating like study tips for kids to study at home. Like what do you do when you spend too much time in front of the screen? So we'll tell them things like, we'll come up with tips like blink more, because we forget to blink when we stare at the screen, right? So that's kind of what we did to pivot, very, very rapidly. But we were working like, because I only have a team of 4 now of us, 2 concept artists, 1 chief everything officer. I joke about that. And then myself, yeah. So we, being a small, almost like startup, we move like a startup. So we each do a bit of everything. Yeah. So even my concept artists are incredible salespeople. I did not know that they are super introverted, but somehow they did more sales than me when we were on ground. Like sort of like showcasing bonding. So yeah, these little things like kind of crop up when necessity strikes. Yeah, so that was pretty fun. Yeah, so that's how we kind of survived the pandemic. Yeah, so now we're still getting inquiries from like universities and all that, because they want to test our game out and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's a relief, from going from nothing to like something. Or very little to like something, like a lot of things happening right now.
It's good to hear that you guys managed to adapt quite well during the pandemic. I think with the uncertainty that is still going on with the pandemic, right? It doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. What kind of strategy are you planning to like do, or like what kind of plan do you have in terms of trying to maintain or maybe grow your business?
I think for me, one thing I realized about this whole thing, I spent a lot of years actually avoiding sales and avoiding marketing. Honestly, it's not something I felt I enjoyed, and partially it was because I studied those sales books, and a lot of it's very hard sell. It's very, very hard sell, and really not up our alley in many ways. And so one thing I learned was that marketing is the thing that drives the customer through like about 75% of the journey, and then like the salesperson should only handle them at 25%, so means towards the end. So I don't know if I should use a golf analogy, but that's the closest I can think of. So like in golf, you drive the ball to the putting green, and the salesperson's job is actually to putt. But what happens is that a lot of salespeople, if the marketing's not done well, right, they have to start from the very start and have to put in a lot of energy. So a lot of these books were teaching me how to do that. So I didn't realize until recently that I was actually, I grew up doing a lot of sales. It's just not the kind of sales that people are teaching outside. Yeah, because there's no way we could have grown to like, because I used to help my mom, during the holidays, or especially when the term opens, answer phone calls, handle inquiries, deal with parents since I was 9 years old. So there's no way we could have like grown to like 2,000 kids. We started with like 6 kids in the dining room, and then we had 2,000 like in 5 years coming for English tuition in Subang Jaya. So there's no way we could have done that if we didn't do some form of sales. Yeah, so that's when I realized like, hey, I gotta find my own, like I gotta find a teacher who can teach me sales and help me become conscious of like what we are doing. So for us right now, I feel definitely focusing on our marketing to make sales. Yeah, that is what we're actually gunning for right now. Yeah, because people will not buy from you if they are not familiar with you. So if you notice, if some of you do have your own businesses out there, or you'll notice that your friends are the ones who generally support you. Why? Because they know you and they trust you. So then how do you build that with people that who have never heard of you in their lives? Because you know, like you can't, it's like barging into a conversation going, hey guys, come buy my stuff. That's what a lot of people do. And so I've been learning how to get good at building that, you know, rapport with people. Yeah, because the sale doesn't happen. I learned from a friend, you know, that the sale doesn't happen when you know, transact with people immediately. That only happens 3% of the time. But the sale happens in the follow-up.
Right.
Yeah. So and the first thing people trade with you at first is time. Yeah, they trade time with you first. So that's why social media is so powerful, because like you build content where people are willing to spend time listening to. Yeah, and then slowly you kind of build that trust and build that relationship. Then when you say, hey guys, hey, we happen to have this, it's actually easier. So instead of starting from here to sell, you're actually at the 25%. Yeah, so you got to make the job easier for yourself. And for me, I like it when it's easy. So same thing. That's why I build study products that make it easy. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Could you explain a little bit, for those who don't know maybe about the business side of things, could you just roughly explain, you know, what's the difference between for your business in terms of like what's marketing and what's sales? So some people might think, oh, sales is actually marketing. So what's the difference? What are you talking about? Like some people might think that way. So could you explain a little bit more?
Sure. For me also, I was really confused about sales and marketing. I thought they were one and the same, because you know how when you go to a corporate company, you see like, oh, you know, you see someone's name card and it says like, oh, Cindy, right? Sales and marketing. So we think it's one and the same, right? So I think marketing is about like really growing brand awareness and definitely like getting people to get to know the who behind it and all that kind of thing. And one of the things that I discovered recently is that it's not about shouting. So we failed very miserably, all right, and a lot of our marketing endeavors, because a lot of it's about like we I think by default, when we panic and if we're not comfortable with sales and marketing, for me especially, like by default, I'll go like, hey guys, come check us out, you know, come like, you know, this is what we're doing, hola, you know, that kind of thing. But people don't care. You know, at that point, maybe only 3% who are aware and they're looking for a game to study. Yeah, they'll probably buy from us, right? So that's all fine and dandy. So really, it's really about like showing people that you are concerned about them and caring about them. So that's the way that marketing has taken sort of like evolved into. Yeah. So like RYSE right now, you know, they're doing these Tauke Talks, right? It's to add value to audience, and this is your first point of contact with RYSE actually, and this is where you get to know Cindy. And if you like Cindy, you might actually look into like whatever it is that they're doing. And if you're an entrepreneur yourself, or you're looking to start a business, then you might go like, you know, another entrepreneur said this, you know, that you have to learn from other people, right? So come for the course. Yeah. So so I guess like marketing is just about like, for me, it's amplifying the brand and building relationships with the audience. Yeah. So I can't claim that I'm an expert on it. I'm learning. And I was fortunate to learn from friends who are really, really savvy. Yeah. Then sales really, like I hate it, but one thing that I learned changed my perception of it. It was from the same friend I learned sales from, and he said a good salesperson adds value to anyone, anytime. So sales is not, because the problem with sales for me is that the way people teach it, sometimes it's like your customer's ATM machine, right? So they only see the transaction. Right. You know, but what you're actually building is a relationship with the person, right? So so I don't like that kind of transactional kind of sales. Yeah, and we've always done like relationship building, adding value. So you know, when we finally made sales, I think when we were selling our second game, which is a card game, it's called Bonding. So we were on ground, and we had been doing like on ground stuff for like, I don't know, 2 years, and like no sales, crickets, like nothing happened. And And it took us like learning that. And then I told my team, I said, hey, like whoever comes to our booth, let's make sure that when they walk away, they feel like they have gained something of value from us, or they walk away feeling better about themselves. So that was our commitment. So at that point, we made sales. Like it was a really quiet event, but somehow we still made sales. And yeah, it was because whoever we spoke to, we just made sure that we added so much value to them. So even if they weren't interested in the card game, like if I was talking to a parent and maybe she's kind of dubious, like kind of like, kind of like that kind of, attitude towards the card game, like I still made sure like, I found out her issue, and then I'll go like, oh, by the way, our school does like parenting tips. So if you're, so I'll find out her struggles. I'll be like, so if you're looking for like, ways to build a better relationship with your child, come watch it. It's run by our founder. So they will walk away with that. Yeah, at the very least. So what happened was, because we cared so much, that people actually came back the next day, and we made our most sales the following day, because I think people had time to think and mull it over, and we kind of made an impression on them that they actually came back to buy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So like the sale doesn't happen like once off. It rarely does. Yeah. So and if you look at your customer and treat them like, ooh, money, which is what I did. Because like by default, somehow you do that, right? So you're thinking, oh, I need to sell, right? Yeah, it is that lah. So sales is just about closing the conversation, or at least basically converting the customer to adopting the product, especially. And I think don't be afraid to sell. The other thing I learned is that don't be afraid to sell, especially if you know your product adds value to them and is worthwhile. Yeah, like I know bonding saves a lot of time. Yeah, for kids. I know that bonding, when you play it, right, you don't have to sit down and study the textbook. It gets ingrained in you. The knowledge is there. 6 months later, even Chem Caper is like that. Our first game, 6 months later, you'll probably still remember a lot of what you played in the game because of that. Yeah. So and if you have a good product, it is your moral duty actually to make sure that it gets to as many people's hands as possible. Yeah, but don't do it forcefully lah, like, like if I tell Cindy, Cindy, you must brush your teeth, like, here, take this, Cindy's gonna resist me, man. Yeah, Cindy's probably gonna be like, hey, go away, right? Yeah. So I think it's that. Yeah. So this is, I hope this helps. Yeah. Over time. Yeah. I hope this helps. Because this is what I've been learning. I used to be very shy, because introvert, especially being an introvert, right? We don't like to go like, hey guys, look at me. For me, it's like safety is in the corner reading my book. So it's challenging for an introvert to do sales. But again, I've started to learn that if your product is good and it's going to help somebody, and we did start our business to help kids who struggle with learning. So, and that's what our school has been doing like for so many years. And we just wanted to make sure that, hey, even if you don't live in Malaysia, you can get hold of this. You can be part of this education. Yeah. And I want you to be. Yeah. I want you to grow up not feeling lost when you get out. Yeah.
Okay, now we know a bit about your business and how you've been navigating it throughout the years. I think a lot of people also want to know what would you name to be, because I did a bit of a background check and I see that you guys have won a lot of awards. I just want to know what would you say would be your biggest achievement to date?
Okay, yes, we did win a lot of awards. I have to say though, the awards have been they were amazing, because it really put our school on the global map, and people from Estonia and all that started to come because of what we did here in Ace Studio. I would say my proudest one, because it was so unexpected, is Tactical Planet. It being a bestseller, because it's one thing if it's a bestseller in the study books or the study aid category. It's one thing, right? But to be in the best-selling category for fantasy and action adventure, we were like, whoa, like what? Like this is a science comic, right? It's like, what? So yeah, for us, and honestly, we were just testing it out. It was basically a bunch. You can read it on Tapas. If you get onto Tapas, it's like webtoon. Those of you who are familiar with that, we put it out for free because it was one of our like marketing efforts, to add value to people, right? So it was a weekly thing that people could follow, and we did it sort of like Garfield. Probably towards the end, only we started doing more of a storyline. Yeah, so we kind of compiled it, and we were just like, okay, because we are releasing our proper one this year, so like, why don't we just put it up for free for people to like,
So
to
like a
just
teaser.
yeah, see whether people like it or not. So to actually get that, so we had like people downloading it from like India, Canada, US, UK, this kind of things, and we're just like, okay, it was a good test of the market. So I think in that sense we did the right thing by just putting it out there. So I think sometimes part of the entrepreneurial journey is about just putting it out there. Because if you don't, you don't know. It's not a perfect product. It's not final or polished, but it was good enough that we could put it out to the market to test. So this is the feedback. So from there, then we have a little bit more clarity, which countries to target, like whether people are going to enjoy this or not, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that was a good lesson for us. Yeah. So from there, then after we keep moving a bit more, we get a bit more clarity. We keep moving. Then slowly, I think we will become more certain. Yeah. Yeah.
So your studio focused not only by reaching Malaysians but worldwide. International is your main focus.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, because we want to reach as many kids as possible, especially those who are miserable in school, those who feel that they are stupid, or who are made to feel stupid because your grades are average. Your grades don't make you who you are, frankly. Yeah, because my mom started a school, and people think that she's like some sort of A student. My mom wasn't. She's an average. Yeah, she's an average student. That was my aunt. My aunt is the genius at math and science, right? But my mom was more of the liberal arts kind of person. Yeah. So she didn't do well at all in school. Like she was just average, hovering there, C student kind of thing. Yeah. So that didn't stop her from opening school. And I think that's what makes her a good teacher as well. Because she understands the struggle. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something very interesting. Yep. So I'm pretty sure because some people like your students, pretty sure will look up to you and hope to be you one day. So now I just want to find out a little bit about who do you look up to in terms of entrepreneurship? Do you have anyone that you look up to?
For me, there are a few people. But I would say my mom is my immediate person that I look up to because that woman is fearless. Yeah, completely fearless. Like I still have like that caution. Like, okay, if we're gonna do this, I need some certainty. I need some clarity. But my mom is like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. It's very possible. Let's go. And we're like, wait. Yeah, but she is like a serial entrepreneur. She really, if you want to look for like people with that entrepreneurial spirit, it's her. And I think like being an entrepreneur, it's about being resourceful, which unfortunately is not something that we are taught in school. Yeah. So being resourceful is actually like looking at what you have and then starting from there. So for her, she started in her dining room. So for us right now, I'm down to 4 people on my team from like 30 something people. It shrank to 4 people. People left along the way. So like I started digging into what we could do and what we had and amplify outlets. Yeah, but a lot of people, what they wait for is like this, everything must be ready. Then only they jalan, yeah. So there is a term for it where you work with what you have to amplify. Yeah. So don't wait until like you everything's perfect. Yeah, before you go. But that doesn't mean you simply like do things without like learning something, at least something first. Okay. So do talk to people. Yeah, do talk to people. Like for us, we did learn from our mentors, and then with what we knew, we just try along. Yeah, you have to just give it a shot. Yeah, so I know it sounds contradictory, but even entrepreneurs, although they take risks, like there's a book that I was reading called The Originals. Many entrepreneurs, they're actually not big risk takers. It just seems risky because it's not a path that a lot of people travel.
Right.
So yeah, so do get yourself educated. Do talk to someone who has done it before. Like make friends with them. They'll be very happy to help you and share. Yeah, honestly. So for us, we didn't do it alone either, and nor did we plunge blindly into it. Yeah. There were steps along the way. Yeah, but it is risky because, for the most part, we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah. So that's scary for a lot of people, lah.
Right. Thank you for sharing about your, top entrepreneur, which is your mom, which is great to hear. So I think we can also move on to the last question I have for you. Actually, then we can move on to our Q&A session.
Sure.
Is do you think youth or young people should start their business, and why?
Do I think? Well, I started the school when I was 17, so I'd probably be biased by saying yes. And that's because you are more creative than you know. Yeah, because from teaching a lot of my students, some of the when you don't put a limit on yourself, the solutions you come up with are super ingenious, and these are times where things are actually they're actually happening really fast. Things are changing so quickly. A lot of problems are arising, so we need your genius. Yeah, because I was told that the bigger the problem you can solve, the more money you can actually make. And you don't want to be in business simply for the money. Yeah, because that becomes meaningless after some time. And and so like this is also why I became an entrepreneur, because like I feel great waking up because I know I'm doing something good. Yeah, for the world. I know I'm helping kids, at least survive school. We know that we're churning out kids who will actually do well if they go out and get jobs, and they won't struggle to get jobs, not because they have a paper, but because they have the skills that employers are looking for, and at least if difficult times like this happen, they can start their own thing. They're resourceful enough to start their own thing. So you guys are more talented than you know, and more genius than you actually give yourself credit for. So I would say, like from being 17 years old, there is you have like a legendary buff being young. Because if you're young and you're doing this thing, people kind of like, wow, they do that, and then they look upon you more kindly. Of course, there are some people that you'll meet who'll be like, who's this pest, or this person never show off. You're definitely gonna meet people like that. But for the most part, adults, they in general, they are very nice and they like to teach young people. So you can, so use that superpower and just go, hey, what's this for? Hey, can I follow you to work? That's what I used to do. Like I'll go to my godfather and go, can I follow you to work for a day so I can learn? Yeah. So that's your superpower. And you're definitely going to do things that are very different from a lot of people. And I think you have I think from observing my students, you guys have a very good grasp on like social media. And that's one of like the biggest platforms right now. So you have a lot of like superpowers at your disposal. And the best part is it's not like, my mom's time where, you only if you're qualified, then you do business. It's not about that. Like right now, more than ever, it's easy to start your own thing. Yeah. And if at the very least, just, at least grow your own brand. Yeah. For yourself. Yeah. So and I think, oh yes, what I wanted to say here also was that in our parents' time, if they were farmers, learning to farm was a way to make a living, correct?
Yeah.
For us, especially like South Cindy and all that, like, and everyone here who is younger, the way to make a living is actually to learn how to make money. Yeah, and I think that it's not a conversation that a lot of people have. And I realized that a lot of my friends, who are comfortable with the idea of making money, it's because it was very normal in the household. So I've got a friend who is a millionaire who grew up, the family will discuss like how to invest in property and stuff like that during Chinese New Year. That would be the conversation. How do you look for good deals and stuff like that. So that's a very normal thing. another friend of mine who is a very, very good deal maker. It's because the parents from young would have these conversations with them in the house. Yeah. So if you don't have that kind of environment, I would say like go find mentors, go find friends where you can have these kind of conversations. You learn a lot from doing that. So I grew up in a household where, because my mom ran business, we talk about business now. Yeah. So yeah. So this is what I would say. It's think of it like farming, but money.
Farm money, we now farm money.
Yeah. If we were hunter gatherers, you need to know how to use a spear.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for now, we need to learn how to sell. We need to know how to market. We need to know how to sell products, or create products to sell, whatever, source for it. All these skills are very different. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing on that part. I think a lot of you could benefit from that especially your point on giving so much analogy for them to actually visualize things out. Right, so that's all the questions that I actually have with you. Now we'll move on to a Q&A session where I'll be answering all the participants pre-submitted question and also the question that they have submitted. So one of the questions here is asking you when you actually, I'll be rephrasing the questions a little bit.
Sure.
To make it into my own words. When you reach a roadblock or when things don't go your way in terms of business, how do you actually pick yourself up and keep going?
Yeah, when I saw this question, it is a really good question. And I thank you for asking it. Well, because that's something I struggled with in terms of with the studio, because I think it didn't go the way we planned it to. And so I saw a question pop up just now on the Zoom chat that how did we survive the 2 years? So we're lucky that we are attached to a school and that we are the R&D department of the school. But it was kind of tough when people look at the game that we created and the department, like a crippled child nobody wanted. Yeah, because in business, right, for a lot of people, if the product doesn't make money, you shut down. Right. Yeah, that's what it is. But this product that we made gave us like more than that. I think other schools would have spent the same amount that we spent on our game on marketing. But for us, we ended up with a game and the marketing and the international reach. So, so I think it's about perspective. So, but I did feel down about it for a very, very long time. Yeah. So, because and then there's a lot of doubt because I'm cikgu, right? I'm a teacher. So how do I, but I mean, we did grow up doing business and all that, but this was a completely different ballgame altogether. So there were a lot of doubts whether I could actually do it or not. And I think one, for me, what I'm learning is you don't get into the acknowledge your disappointment, because I spent a lot of years trying to be positive about it. That is a surefire way to be depressed, for sure, because depression is accumulated pain. That I got from Brene Brown, her book Rising Strong. And that's a really good book, actually. I would recommend it, especially for those of us who are going into entrepreneur, especially if we want to do big things, great things, or different things. That's a great book to read to learn about how to have that grit and resilience to face these moments that I would say they're dark. I'm not used to failing, that badly. Although, my mom would scold me and say, it's not a failure. It wasn't, but to me, it felt that way. Yeah, because I think from a business perspective, because it didn't make money, then it would be considered a failure. Yeah. So I think that was that. So give yourself time to grieve and cry. Yeah, if you eat chocolate, if you have to take out the ice cream from the fridge and shovel it into your mouth and tears streaming down, making the ice cream saltier and watch a sad movie, make sure you do that for yourself, because the only way out of a really dark time is actually to go through it. Yeah, and that's what's scary for a lot of us, because these are very, very difficult emotions to feel in a world where people tell you don't cry, don't feel sad, so that's the first one for me. The second thing is that once you do that, try and be mindful of not beating yourself up about it. So this year I kind of gave myself permission. I wrote myself a permission slip to go like, you have full permission to have unwavering belief in yourself. Yeah, one failure does not make you. And also understanding that, because I read in the book somewhere that humans, we have a tendency to, if we fail English paper, there's like, oh, I'm bad at English. I'm a failure. I am a failure. We tend to identify with it when it's just that I failed the test, not I'm a failure, but we have a tendency to do it. So I would say watch your languaging on that. Yeah, and also like believe in yourself. There's a reason why you wanted to do this, right? And at the same time, also it's okay to say like, I let go of this, I give up. It's okay also, especially if it's draining your mental health, taking a physical toll on you. Sometimes it's okay to give up. So this one, you really got to feel into what is right for you. And that's what I think being an entrepreneur is all about. You learn more about yourself than most people ever would, because you get put in positions and into situations where you probably will not experience if you had not taken this path. Yeah, but for the most part, you will learn a lot about yourself. And I feel the wealth comes and the success comes from really understanding what works for you the best. Yeah, because I spent so many years playing how other people wanted me to play. Yeah,
Right.
I was miserable. Yeah, and to me that's a failure, because like I didn't start my business to be miserable, I wanted to enjoy. Yeah. So that's how I would say to pick yourself up. Yeah, you have to let yourself feel all the stuff you don't want to feel. Yeah, and learn from that. Another thing also to do is when you're done processing it, then to ask yourself like, what did I learn from this? Because it takes the failure, it transforms the failure into a lesson instead of like just a failure. Because a failure just simply means like, oh, I shouldn't do it that way. It's just a clue, right? Don't do that, right? So what else do I do? Oh, I can do that. I tried this, then oh no, it didn't work. Okay, I'll try this one instead. Yeah. So the faster you can do is the better, actually. So because failure is the mother of success, so don't ever like be scared of it, because the faster you can fail, and there are companies where they built their product systems and all that to fail really fast, because you lose less money doing it that way. So go research those companies. Yeah, that's something we learn to do along the way. Yeah, fail fast, fail quickly, fail early, especially. Yeah, because what I learned from a mentor is that if you spend a lot of time avoiding failure at the very beginning, what ends up happening is that you end up in a business where you'll be very scared to lose everything.
Right.
Yeah, so if you fail early when things are small, like you probably lose like a few hundred ringgit or whatever, it's still okay. Yeah, so you want to fail early. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing on that part. I think you killed two birds with one stone. You answered the question.
Yes.
I think most of the question you actually answered during the main sharing session. So I guess that's all for today's sharing session. So thank you for your insight, Erica. And that was Erica, everybody, from Ace EdVenture Studio, brought to you by RYSE and supported by Citi Foundation. I think what really resonated with me is that you really focused on a different aspect of entrepreneurship that I really saw today. And I really like the fact that you said that you only can overcome uncertainty with actions, and that don't always, as an entrepreneur, you don't always have to feel like you know everything. It's also important for you to outsource that kind of thought. And I think even for those who are not interested in entrepreneurship, it's a very important life lesson, I would say, for everybody to have. And I hope that whatever you guys have heard during this whole entire session will really motivate you for the following days or months to come to actually overcome whatever struggles that you have. All right. So if you have enjoyed this session and you would like to find out more or like suggest to other people about Ace EdVenture Studio, please go and find out more about them via Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Yeah. Great. And if you have enjoyed this whole entire Tauke Talk session and you want to join in on more Tauke Talk session, you can look forward for our next week's Tauke Talk session with Fatini for Lush Pin. And if you didn't know who Fatini is, She is the owner of a small company called Lush Pin that specializes in creating pin rings. And what are those pin rings? Is earrings for those who actually wear the hijab or actually wear tudong. So if you're interested to find out about her business or you want to sign up for her session, please do click the link on bit.ly/Tauke/pins, or you can find the link in our bio via Instagram. All right. And we would also like to announce that actually this Friday, we have something launching that's very exciting. It's called RYSE Online 2021. It's RYSE program's flagship program for the year. And what this essentially is all about is an entrepreneurship course. And so if you want to find out more about this whole entire secret project that we have going on, please do look out on our social media to find out more updates. And if you're interested to know more about RYSE as an organization itself, you can always go and check us out via our Facebook, Instagram, or even our YouTube. Yeah. So thank you everyone for coming, and thank you, Erica, so much for being here today and actually sharing your wisdom to all the youths out there. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.